Hi, good morning. How are you all? Today I am going to be talking to Kim Wells Ely, and we are going to be talking about why this is a great opportunity to write down what's going on at the moment. I mean, we're in the midst of a time like no other, and we need to document our stories. And so I am going to be speaking to Kim, who has her own publishing company and helps majority of women actually tell their stories and share their stories and feelings about life as a way to share their heart in the hope that it helps other people, which is such a beautiful thing to do. So I'm so excited about speaking to her today. So enjoy this episode. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Today I have got such a treat for you. I've got the gorgeous Miss Kim, who is all the way from Virginia. It's Kim Wells Ely. She is an incredible writing coach and also a publishing consultant. And she helped me get basically Buckwheat out into the world. So, yay! High five, sister. It was amazing. It was amazing working with her, and I'm delighted to have you today. So welcome, Kim.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Oh my God, I'm so happy to be here with you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, well, let's just dive straight in. I am fascinated because every time I see you now, just to give people a very quick backstory, Kim and I did our coaching training together back in 2017, and that's how we connected. And last year she came over to Australia and we actually got to meet in person, and that was really exciting too. So that's the backstory. Now to the actual story that we're here to talk about is the fact that every time I see Kim, she's at all these meetings with all these incredible people of all different sort of shapes, sizes, etc. And they're all, they're talking about their stories and they're all engaged and excited. And I want to ask you, what got you into this business in the first place? What got you into the business of helping predominantly women, because I believe most of your clients are women, but predominantly helping women share their stories?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much. What a great question. So I come from a family of teachers. Teaching is in our blood. My mom was a high school teacher, and I saw what she went through, and God bless our teachers, especially I think a lot of people who are homeschooling and now are like, thank you, teachers. I was like, I don't have the patience for this, but I've always been an educator. That's just part of my DNA. I started getting really interested in helping women to share their messages because we have so much to say, and I get so frustrated when our voices don't come out. I read, I can't think of her name, but it was a wonderful woman who's written a lot of groundbreaking books in linguistics, and she talks about the fact that women's voices are often drowned out, both literally because our voices aren't as loud or booming, and then metaphorically because we'll start talking and someone will cut us off and interrupt us.
Yeah.
So I find it so fascinating to talk with all different people, but especially women, and find out, what is it that makes you tick? What is it that makes you just light up and love what you do? I got started in 2014 when we had some layoffs at work, and I wanted to find out, well, snap, some people do something that they knew hated what they did.
Sorry, there was a little glitch there in the recording, so I just wanted to double check what you said. Were you saying that people got and people loved what they there were people out there that loved what they were doing?
Yes, they love their career, and I always grew up with well, you work hard and you suffer and you make money, and that's how it's done. What an awful way to live. So So once I discovered, hey, wait a minute, we don't have to suffer. I was like, what do people do? What lights them up? And I was so fascinated to just find out that I love pulling out those stories. And then once I found out the stories, I'm like, we need to write these down because more people need to know.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you actually have just gone out into your community. Is it mostly in your community that your clients come to you, that they hear about you and they come to you and they go, I've got a story about whatever? And how open and honest are these stories? Are they quite raw with emotion? I mean,
Some of them are quite raw. To answer your question, initially it was
yeah,
just people who I knew,
okay.
and then through word of mouth and through going to conferences and networking, I now have clients. I have one client who is in Germany, but most of my clients are all across the United States. Um, but as far as, oh, I forgot the second part of the question. Wait a minute.
Second part of the question was that the stories they're telling them, are they really quite from the heart? I mean, so the voices are very different in as much as you were talking about earlier, the resonance, you know, that, you know, we hear
Yes.
these big different voices. How do these voices sound, you know, the rawness of them and what they're sharing?
Oh, wow. Yes, I've been so fortunate. So I specialize in what I call personal development stories. Um, and so a lot of times I describe it as, um, I went to hell and I came out of hell, and I want to help you who are now my readers in hell to come out of it. So yes, people go to some really intense places.
Mm,
um, I'm working with a wonderful author right now. Her child is transgender, and she's talking very, very courageously about how she feels about it. And, you
wow.
know, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so to speak.
Ah,
And going to that place, the thing that I feel the most strongly about is capturing my client's authentic voice,
yeah.
not writing it for them. They are writing it and they are staying true to their voice. So
Mm,
if somebody has quite naturally a self-deprecating sense of humor, that comes through in
yeah.
their work, even with a really raw subject.
Yeah.
I'm working with another wonderful client right now who is a domestic violence survivor, and she counsels other women. But I love her attitude because she goes, you know, I really want to talk about how we can build healthy relationships, making that little mind shift
Yeah.
between saying I'm an expert in domestic violence and saying I'm an expert in creating healthy relationships.
Yeah, because I know what a dysfunctional one feels like.
Right, exactly.
Wow, wow. Those are big, courageous stories for people to tell. And I guess you're guiding and hand holding them through that process and giving them permission to
Oh,
share that. That's a
most
gift.
definitely.
What a gift.
And oh, it's amazing. I feel so blessed every day to be able to work with my amazing clients and the things that they're willing to share.
Yeah.
And sometimes we do have some tough conversations. I'm working with a client, and she had a topic, and she wasn't sure if she should share it or not. And so we kind of went back and forth about would this be appropriate. I guess I can say it. She was talking about she had had an abortion,
Okay.
and she wasn't sure if she should share it or not. And so we went back and forth and had that raw conversation about, you know, I would never ever encourage someone to publish something that they wouldn't, that they would later on be ashamed of.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
so
No.
important.
Yeah, exactly. Because those are the sort of stories that really help people heal.
Yes.
And yet they're the stories we are so deeply ashamed of because there are wounds, and that's where people can get in and they get pointy and judgy. And the
Yeah.
truth is we need to be out there humanizing each other. We need to be holding each other's hands and saying, listen up, we're all human, things happen, situations occur. This is absolutely not what we do when people are in pain.
Yes,
We have to
absolutely.
hold them and help them and hug them.
Oh,
You know, we don't judge them and shame them, because then that just puts all the pain deep inside and it comes out in other ways that's so unhelpful and dysfunctional. So what an incredible, incredible thing you are doing for humanity, Kim, helping these beautiful women. Thank you. Thank you, my love. I want to ask you, how do these women feel when their books come out the other side and they're published? Can you tell me how you see, you see them go through the kind of the tunnel and come out through the other side? Tell me what that's like when they give birth to it at the other side. I want to know.
That's the perfect metaphor, is giving birth, because it's like during the process there's a lot of labor pains. It's like, we're still editing and we're still doing this, blah 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 blah. So by the time the book comes out, my favorite moment is when my authors get to hold their printed book in their hands for the first time. I absolutely go bananas. It's the best.
Oh, I can't believe it. Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine.
Wonderful.
Oh.
I love book launches. That's one of my favorite things, is having a big book launch, and we plan it like a party. We have all their friends and family come in. We'll do a reading. And it's, that part is just so fun, because here's the people who've been suffering with them, like, are you staying up late again to write your book? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, yes. So they get to celebrate with them, and to see them reading a passage from their book and they're just beaming. It's the best. It is so much.
that is pure joy right there, and fulfillment, isn't it? Just it really is. So a question that I really want to ask you, because we're in such an extraordinary period of time where people are naturally having to retreat, they're having to stay at home, they can't get out very much. This, for some people, may be a great opportunity to begin either just documenting what's going on now for humanity for years to come, or for them to start to tune in to the story they might like to share as a way of helping, other people feel less alone in the world. And I want to ask your advice about, how do we start to build that muscle? How do we start to begin that process?
Absolutely. That is such a fantastic question. And I think we start small. And I say that because I think initially, when everything started happening with COVID, I kept seeing news stories and people are like, well, what incredible tasks are you going to do during your downtime? And that all of a sudden amped up the thing, like, well, I need to cure cancer and settle world peace. And it's like, whoa, 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 start simply, but making observations. I am not a fantastic journaler. I'm a little embarrassed to say that. I feel like I should be a champion journaler.
Me too.
But I jot down observations, like all of a sudden when everything started closing in our area, I would just make observations like, wow, today for the first time ever, gas was incredibly inexpensive and I couldn't find toilet paper anywhere. So bizarre. It was like we were in topsy-turvy land. It still feels that way.
It was a Wizard of Oz. It was a blooper from the Wizard of Oz. I swear to God, it was an outtake that never got in.
Right. And it's like, what the huh? So even just jotting down, I think, small observations, and I love how you're saying, so that we can convey this to people, because the fact that this event has happened to all of us all at the same time, that part just blows my mind. because in our normal lives,
Yeah.
we have events that happen and we have similarities. We have deaths that happen, we have loss of jobs, we have, schools that close. But to have everything happening all at once feels so strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think just documenting it and jotting down how you feel. I feel very strongly about being able to, the times when I have really journaled were times when I lost people I loved, and I needed to get those feelings out. And some of them I never want to read again, because it was almost like I was, bleeding out the grief on my paper, and it was really hard, but I felt so much better afterwards. And I think that's the kind of relief I really want people to have, is let me just get this out.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't necessarily always need to be published, but writing is actually really good therapy. I have what I call, I have to say, I'm going to share here, what I call the F sessions, the F off sessions, where I literally, if I've had a bit of a moment and I want to protect people I love and care for, I come to my computer and I go wham, and I get it out, and then I press delete and it's gone. And do you know what? I feel so much happier for releasing that from my body, because if I don't, then it stays with me and I discharge it in a really healthy way. And sometimes the grief we don't want people to see or hear, because there can be anger there, and there can be disappointment there, and there can be all sorts of things there. These can be very personal narratives that we don't actually want to share, but are a very therapeutic part of how we can regulate our nervous systems.
Oh, most definitely. And in writing shops that I've been conducting for several years now, one of the things we start with is something I call a brain dump. And that is just write it all down, because I read somewhere somebody described it as the mental load. It's the, oh snap, Susie's birthday's next week, I got to get a card, and oh my God, I forgot to get the clothes out of the laundry, and blah, 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 and all that crap that's in our heads. If we jot it down and just blah on paper,
Gets it out.
and then it releases our brains, and we can go, now we can write about what we really want to write about. And I think that, especially during this time, is important, because I had a lot of networking friends go, well, I bet a lot of people are going to come to you and they're going to be writing their books during this time. And then I've talked to some writers and they go, I'm just stuck,
Really?
and
That's interesting.
yeah, I think they were
That's
stuck in
really
their grief
interesting.
and they needed to move past it. So I've suggested to several people, I'm like, hey, brain dump, get it out.
That's interesting, because I heard the other day about somebody saying you can't really create when you're in fight, flight, and freeze mode.
Exactly.
Because you're on hyper alert. You're like, do I need to, what's going on? And when there is uncertainty, for a lot of people, that can really trigger your fight, flight, and freeze response, so that you're in that slightly heightened way. Your nervous system is vigilant, and therefore it can't settle itself into that harmonious place of flow, because it's coming to get me. So that's maybe why they have. That's really interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
I think it makes a big difference, because have you ever studied Maslow's hierarchy of needs? It's basically
Tell me more.
the concept is tell me more. I love it.
Tell me more, Kim.
It's a pyramid, and basically it says you can't get to higher thought levels until your basic needs are satisfied. Like if you're a president of a company and you set everybody up with computers so they can work, but you don't order chairs for everyone, they don't have standing desks, nobody's going to get anything done.
No. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. That's really interesting. So at the moment, you're finding a lot of your clients who are normally writing aren't able to. So maybe this is more of a time to just document what's going on around you because you can weave that in some way. Interesting.
Most definitely. And even if it's an observation or
Yeah.
something that you see, because things are happening to us so quickly,
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to process all of them. It's like if you've had an especially busy day and you sit at the end of it and you can't go to sleep because your mind is like, meow.
Yeah.
I think it's the same kind of thing. It takes some time for us to process it. I'm still thinking about things that happened in the early parts of when Corona came out
Yeah.
and all the adjustments that we made. And I'll look back and I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that so and so was going on at that time because it
Yeah.
was like drinking
Mm.
out of a fire hose.
That's quite a metaphor. Thanks for that, Kim. Woo. Um, what I wanted to ask, and I guess maybe finish off, is when people are have regulated nervous systems and are feeling more aligned with writing, where is the best place to start? You said start small, but is there a way that they can come to? Do you do any virtual workshops or online courses or anything like that, or can they just work with you one on one? How does it work if people are going, you know what, I've had a story, I've got a story, I'm ready to tell it now, or I'm ready to start talking about it? How do they
Oh,
start that process?
absolutely. So I do have steps where people can start small. I have a writer's accountability group, which is really fun. I call it Writing Ragers. And so everybody's raging against resistance. And so it's basically we get together, we say our intention, we're heads down for an hour, and then we come up after the hour. I also do some online, I do an online writing course that I call Personally Published. And it's a 7 week, you start from becoming empowered as a writer, and then you work your way up to where you write your first 4 chapters. So you get into your book.
That's
And then I also do writing retreats, although they're very small. It's usually just 4 writers at a
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Um, and then I work with people one-on-one, and I absolutely love working with my clients. I swear I learn as much from them as they do from me, because
Always.
and we
Always.
have
Yeah.
best conversations. I always walk away like I could be having a kind of a bummed out day, and I meet with a client and I'm like, this is awesome, and I get all excited.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's one of the things I took away when I was studying with the Aboriginal people here, and they
Yeah.
said there is always two-way learning. Always.
Yes.
You will always learn from each other, and to think that you never do learn from your client is a very egotistical and very I don't know what you entitled place to sit, because the truth is we're always learning and going, and that when that process happens, it's so exciting because you both come away so much richer from the experience when you both sit down almost as an equal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rather than going, oh no, I'm the one that knows it all. It's like, you know what, I've got a bit more experience here, but let's
Yes.
let's get into this together.
I love that.
Miss Kim, it has been absolutely gorgeous chatting to you. Thank you so much for coming in and popping into my day and our day. I've really appreciated it. I'm going to put your details and your website at the end of this video so people can get in touch with you if they want to talk to you about anything. And thank you again for the work that you do helping get women's voices out into the world. Honestly, what a gift.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm so honored and grateful to have the chance to talk to you, my lovely friend. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.